Welcome to Reborn in the Quiet. I am your host, Michelle, and just to remind you, this is a safe space, a place for reflection, faith, and honest conversations about the quiet seasons that shape us. In the last episode, I shared how a season of loneliness led me to a deeper friendship with Jesus. Today, I want to talk about something that often follows the quiet, which is our identity. Who we are and who we think we are, and who God says we are, even when it's hard to believe it. I think one of the hardest struggles that we have as women is identity. And it's hard because it usually happens quietly. There isn't always a big moment where you lose yourself. It happens very slowly, subtly, through expectations, through comparison, through words spoken over you years ago that you never really questioned. And before you realized it, you feel unsure of who you are, even though you love God. Most of us know the truth. We know that we are loved. We know that we are chosen and that we are children of God. Scripture says that in 1 John 3:1, see what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. But knowing something in your head, it is very differently from believing it in your heart. And many of us live in that gap. For me, identity has always been closely tied to self-esteem. Things I was told growing up, words that stayed with me longer than they should have. And even as I got older, those voices didn't disappear. They just became quieter and more convincing. Some of us grew up being told we were too much or not enough, or that we were too sensitive or too quiet, too emotional. And somewhere along the way, those words became beliefs. Beliefs about our worth, beliefs about our confidence, about what we are capable of. And then here comes comparison. We start comparing everything about our lives. We compare our bodies, our lifestyles, our marriages, parenting, careers, our pace, our progress. We compare things that we see online to what we're living in real life. And comparison doesn't always mean or doesn't always look like jealousy. Sometimes it just looks like constantly feeling that we're behind, that we're not where we're supposed to be because our friend over here is doing 10 times better than us, or we see this person that we follow on TikTok, Instagram, and all the trips they're taking, or where they're going to eat, that they're eating out every week, couple times a week. And then this person just became or just got promoted at their jobs and things like that. And we start feeling like we are not where we're supposed to be, and we start feeling that we're behind. The Bible speaks to us directly about this. In 2 Corinthians, it says that those who measure themselves by one another are not wise, because comparison doesn't just steal the joy that we should have and that we have, but it steals our identity. Somewhere in the middle of comparison and expectations and survival mode, we forget who we really are. We forget what God placed inside of us. We forget what He's called us to be, what He has called us to do. And then we wonder why growth feels so hard. And I think another reason identity becomes so confusing is because we get lost in our roles. We get lost in our marriages. We get lost in motherhood, in our careers. We get lost in pleasing others. We put other things as a priority instead of putting ourselves first in our identity, and not the identity that we believe or that society has said that we are, or the identity that people say, even our own families. We forget who God has said that we are. Slowly, without realizing it, we just let all the roles that we play start defining us. We stop asking who we are and we start defining ourselves by what we do instead, by how well we perform here, by how well we're parenting our kids, by how well we're doing at our job, by how well, as wives, how we're doing and comparing what this other person is doing in her role of a wife, or how other mothers are treating their kids, by what they're cooking, by what they're wearing, but what car they're driving. We get lost in all of that and we let that become a priority. We forget what God has said that we are and who we are to Him. When the struggles come, many of us don't respond with grace towards ourselves. We blame ourselves. We replay our mistakes again and again. We put ourselves down even more instead of recognizing that we are human, that we are not perfect, that we are growing and learning every day. Just as a mom, I see my kids, and when they make mistakes, I make sure to tell them it is okay. You are learning. When I'm teaching my little one something new and I see her struggling and she gets frustrated, I am quick to remind her, it is okay. You are learning. That's why I'm teaching you. But we forget to have that same grace with ourselves. Sometimes we forget that we are living this life for the first time too. The things that we do is our first time doing them too. But we don't show that grace. We forget that we are growing and that we're learning daily. Instead of being graceful with ourselves, we tell ourselves things like, if I was better, this wouldn't be happening. Or if I had more faith, I wouldn't be struggling like this. Or if I was stronger, I'd be handling this better. No, the scripture reminds us that there's no condemnation for those who are in Jesus Christ. And we forget that's where we are. We forget that we are in Jesus Christ. That means our struggles don't define us. Our mistakes don't cancel our identity. And hard seasons don't disqualify us for the purpose that God has in our life. There's questions, that we should sit with. And one of the main ones is, how are we supposed to grow if we don't believe who we are? How are we supposed to fulfill the purpose that God has placed in our lives if we don't believe what He's saying that we are? How are we supposed to step into what God has for us if we don't believe what we're capable of? Not because of who we are, but because of who our Father is. Because when we forget who our Father is, we forget who we are. Romans 8:14 says, for those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. If God is our Father, then our identity isn't weak. It is not lacking, and it is not behind. It's secure, even when we don't feel secure. Because it's not about what we feel. It's not about feelings. Feelings are temporary, but it is trusting that it is secure because of who our Father is. The quiet became the place where God started rebuilding my identity. And it does not happen at once. It is something that is continuing to happen. Not loudly, but gently. He is working in me, and He is working in you. There's a lot of work that we gotta do. There's a lot of work that He has to do in us. He has to undo all the lies that we have believed about ourselves and replacing them with the truth. But for us to be able to do that, we have to read and spend time in His Word. We have to trust Him. We have to read what He says that we are. We are God's handiwork, created in Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. We have to remember that. We have to remember that He created us with a purpose, that we are here for a reason. And if every day you wake up and you're still breathing, that means that purpose is still there. And He still needs us and wants us here to fulfill that purpose. That means nothing about you is accidental. Nothing about your life, not your story, not your personality, not your process. Becoming who God says you are takes time. It's taking time for me. It does not happen overnight, and it will not happen in just a couple weeks or months. It takes time. It's a process. It takes a lot of learning, a lot of patience. It takes sitting with God long enough for His voice to become louder than all the others. If you're listening to this and you're struggling with confidence, if you love God, but you still wrestle with a lot of insecurity, if you feel like you're in between who you were and who you're becoming, that doesn't mean that you're failing. That means you are becoming. You are growing. You are learning. God is not disappointed in your struggling. He is patient with you. He is gentle, just as we are with our children. Can you imagine how He treats us, how He speaks to us, how He is so patient and so graceful with us as we are also learning? So if today feels heavy, remember this. God is still working even in the silence. And He is not asking you to have it all figured out. He is just asking you to stay close to Him so He can work in you, so He can take all the negativity out of your life and fill you up with His love, with His grace, with His favor. You know, we are being renewed. We are being restored. We are being reborn. And that happens daily. It takes time. You know, there is a prayer that I started doing because of how I see myself and how I always put myself down or feel like I am not enough. I started asking God to help me see myself how He sees me, to help me release the lies that I've held on to for so long, and to reshape me, and to help me, and to guide me. And that is something that you can do. Tell Him, God, help me see myself the way that you see me. Help me release the lies that I've believed and hold on to, and put your truth instead. Put your truth in my heart. Meet me in the quiet as you continue shaping me. Talk to your Father. He is there. He is always waiting. He doesn't go anywhere. He's there. He stays there waiting for you to go to Him so He can do the work. He can do the dirty work. He can do the hard work. Just go to Him. He is waiting for you. So thank you for being here today with me. This has been Reborn in the Quiet. Until next time, and remember, stay close to God and be gentle with yourself.